What's going on, guys? JN4GO, like you need to know. I was going to talk about how to tune your amplifier. If you have an old tube type amplifier, a lot of people tune them just for max smoke, or whatever, and they're good with that. But I was going to talk a minute about how to load your amplifier and kind of save your tubes a bit. So first, what you want to do is you want to take your radio to RTTY. Obviously, you want to go into a dummy load. But for this purpose, I don't think the dummy load in this old MFJ is strong enough. I think it's just a 100-watt dummy load. So anyway, we'll do it into the second dummy load, which is an end-fed half-wave, high power or whatever. I don't know if it is or not, but hasn't folded up on me yet. Run about anywhere from 4 to about 400 watts or something on CW during the contest and whatnot. So anyway, you have your radio on RTTY. Go ahead and start with your power down. Every amp is different. Some amps you don't want to drive any more than 30 watts into them, right? So this kind of applies whether you're driving 20 watts, 30 watts, 50 watts, or 70 watts. It's kind of the same. So we'll go over to our amp, and you got an old tube type amp. Just make sure you're on the correct bands, because these band switches are notoriously bad for going out. The tuner's bypassed. You want to set your amplifier to show the grid current, and on this particular amplifier, and with any 3-500Z, you want to try to keep it under 200 milliamps. Some 3500Zs are 250 milliamps, but this one, I think in particular, is 200. The Kenwood 922A. So with this meter, the Drake W4, right? It's let me get my fingers all in the way. The W4 is an average meter. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put it in operate. What I do is I put my plate somewhere over around the band that I want it to be. And usually I'll bring my load, down. I'll bring my load down. And just go ahead and key up and look at your power. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my plate. What this does is synchronizes the resonance to get to maximum output. So it's about right there. Again, you don't want to hold key on these so long, but you'll get a dip for maximum there, right? That's good. That should be all you have to do with plate, okay? Even if you turn your power up, you can double check it if you want to run max input from your exciter. But what you want to do now is go over to your load. And this is where, again, keep an eye on your grid current. You don't want that over, beyond 200, 250 milliamps. For long periods of time, it'll launch your tube into outer space, and they're not cheap. Anyway, so just, we're keying up here. We see where max is, right? On the load, it's number 2. That's for max. But we come over here, what we want to do is go a little bit beyond and drop that grid. So you see up here, there's max. Just drop the grid a little bit. We want to drop that. Usually it's by advancing your load a full. So if this was on like 2.5, taking it to 3.5, would go ahead and dip your grid. So now we can turn the power on the exciter up. Let's take it up to, I don't know, 60 watts, something like that. If you want to double check your plate, you can, but remember it's tuned to resonance. You can look up there at the meter, it's on the 2000 watt scale. I'm always watching the grid down here. Okay, I found it, but I'm getting pretty close over here on the grid, you know. That's way over, and you'll see a dip right there. See how it dips below 200? Now if you tune for max smoke, you're gonna tune it way over there, and that's not good, okay? Keep your grid under control. Yeah, I mean, that's 700 watts right there. And I think, what did I say, 60? Yeah, 60 watts in. And of course I've got this on low, or on CW, I'm sorry. Don't use single sideband unless you're using single sideband. If you're using CW or RTTY or FT8 or whatever, keep that on low. Save your tubes, please. The extra 200 watts you get out from running on SSB is a big no-no. So remember, if you tune with AM, you can tune with AM or FM pretty quickly, but remember to turn your audio down, or maybe have it to where you don't have an audio hookup there. Start at half of what your manual calls for to load into these. Find your resonance on the plate, which is max, should be around anywhere the band that you're on. For me, it's 80 meters right now, so I'm just a little bit above that. Your load, what you want to do is you'll go through max and then continue to go this way on your load, just enough, let's say just that much. And what that does, you'll see over here, it'll dip your grid down and save your tube, and then you can party all night, you know. Up your power, you can double check it if you want, but it's, once you get the resonance on the plate, it's good. The load is the one you'll have to kind of fool with. But I see a lot of people, they'll run the load at full power out on the meter, right? They'll get this one full, they'll go get this one full, and then their tubes last about 2 months, and then they're, you know, shelling out $300 per tube, or $400, or how much ever they cost. So anyway, make sure you have a good SWR and tune your plate to resonance. Hit your load for max, go past max, and you'll see a dip over here. Remember, let it back off. It ain't a bad thing. You don't need to CB it. And then you'll see the power will drop back, right? But it's saving your tube. And if you want to go up in power and see it on the meter, you can up your exciter. You know, you can come back over here and turn your power up. So yeah, that's how you tune an amplifier that has tubes, and especially some of the 572B tubes. Those are really kind of touchy tubes. The 500Zs, they got a little bit more cushion to them, but they're nothing like a ceramic tube, guys. So if you have an old amp like this, you want to keep it in good shape. Don't run the dog crap out of it, you know what I mean? The difference in 700 watts and 900 watts is, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. Get an amp like this if you want to. Add a solid state ALS 600 before this, and this one I can just sit and just idle at 600. You know, I don't have to worry about putting a lot of strain on the amp or the tubes or any of that stuff, and it's a good thing. So I hope this helps somebody. I haven't seen a video about this since Jim W6LG put one out years ago, and it's pretty much the same thing. But always watch your grid current. Don't matter if you're at your house or your buddy's house, talking on his radio and he's got an amp. Make sure you watch your grid. You want to know where your grid is. Keep it under or keep it at, you know, 200. You don't want to go over that. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully another CW video coming out tomorrow. 7.3 will catch you hopefully sooner than later.